Our next lesson is dedicated to the abdomen. We'll look at the abdominal wall and contents of the abdominal cavity, the viscera, the spaces that we have inside, and at the different imaging modalities, starting from the easiest one, from the X-ray. Conventional radiography not always allows to make the precise diagnosis, but the good thing is it allows us to screen a big number of people in a very short time and at least to suspect their pathology and order them additional examinations, if any. So it's better to know how the normal abdomen looks like. First of all, what we are looking at the abdominal X-ray is the localization and pattern of the air. Air works here as a contrast material. As it fills the lumen of the GIT and distends it, it becomes hyper intense on the images and visible to us. And normally we do see the air bubble inside of the stomach, right here, or somewhere inside of the small intestine, as well as inside of the large intestine. And you understand this air, it moves with the peristaltics, so the localization of these hyperdense areas, it may change from patient to patient. As you see at this image, the large intestine is much more distended. Being distended means being filled with air, and this is the normal condition. Yeah, the one or another loop of intestine, it may be distended, it may be filled. But the other term is to be dilated. In that case, we should think about the pathology. To differentiate the distension from dilation, you need to know the diameter of the loop of the intestine. And for the small intestine, it's less than 1 inch. For the large intestine, it's less than 2 inches. The exception is for the cecum. The cecum may be as large as 3 inches in diameter. This beautiful X-ray image you are looking at right now is performed with double contrast material with air and barium inside of the colon, so you can appreciate the normal sizes of the different parts of the colon. Normally, air is located only inside of the GIT. If you see some extra luminal air on the images, like here just under the diaphragm you see 2 tiny linear collections of the air, that means we have some perforation of the stomach or duodenum or any other part of the intestine. Air bubbles, they ascend up and accumulates here under the diaphragm. That is clearly visible if image is taken in upstanding position. The more air we have inside of the peritoneal cavity, the wider these spaces under the diaphragm become. And you can see on this image the tiny diaphragm marked with the white arrow and a wide space filled with air just under. The black arrow on this image indicates the liver. Opacity of the liver allows to visualize the collection of air easily, which is just above it here. And the things are a little bit harder on the left side, as we have the air bubble of stomach here, the letter S here on this image. And sometimes the air may distend the splenic flexure, the left colic flexure of the colon, and appear as a second air bubble. But if you look attentively, anyway, you can see some narrow airline on top of these organs. As you understand, the air is not the main component of the large intestine. We have some stool, the feces inside, and here you can see how they usually appear on images. Some soft tissue attenuation with micro air bubbles inside. We will see these contents inside of the ascending-descending colon. So now you're familiar how it looks like. The air fluid levels appear sometimes. The normal localization for these levels are the stomach, especially if the patient had something eaten before the procedure. And you also can see 2-3 levels inside of the small intestine where the food processing takes place. But they never appear in the large intestine due to the function of this part of the GIT, that is the absorption of the water. So we normally have no free liquids in the large intestine. In older group of patients, some calcifications may appear in the images, such as calcifications of the cartilaginous parts of the ribs or phleboliths. These are considered to be normal, but of course if you see some calcifications inside of the kidney or in the wall of the aorta, you should think about the pathology. Finally, the soft tissue masses or enlarged organs may be spotted in the X-ray images, but not very clear. You can just see some suspicious shadow or some shifted gas pattern inside of the intestine, and this is the indication to look better at this patient and to make the additional examination, such as CT image that you see here on the second side of my screen, because CT allows to differentiate the pathologies much better.